You know, I'd love to say that I'm shooting this video early because I'm getting on a plane in a couple of hours to be there for the grand opening of Diagon Alley tomorrow at Universal Orlando. Can't say that. Wish I could say that. Unfortunately, I cannot. I will be unable to attend tomorrow, obviously, because I am stuck here. Yay. I have to work 6 hours tomorrow, and then at least I get to go to B-Dubs afterwards with AJ, and I'd much rather be opening Diagon Alley with all of you out there that are going to be lucky enough to be in attendance. Unfortunately, it will be about 71 days before I'm able to see the wonderful Diagon Alley before my very eyes, and that's a shame. I really wish I could have won one of those contests so I could have been there for grand opening. I'd love to be there with all of you right now that are probably, as this video is being watched by most of you, enjoying Diagon Alley and everything it has to offer. Or, if you're watching this really early, you're sitting outside of Universal's gates waiting for Diagon Alley to actually open, so you can get in to see all the wonderment that will be in the brand new area. I've seen all the videos, I'm very excited for Diagon Alley, and I cannot wait to go back to Universal. So I will live vicariously via Twitter through all of you that are able to attend, and hopefully I will be able to get some good information and some good footage from all of you. I've watched a lot of the YouTube videos so far, and I cannot wait to have videos of my own here on Pop, and in about 71 days I will have just that. So, real quick, Monday was overall not a very good day. We watched a horrible movie that we're going to rip the daylights out of on Friday's AJ's Movie Reviews. And we're going to talk about that. I'm not going to go any further into that. You're just going to have to wait till Friday to find that out. And Monday was kind of a mixed bag otherwise because it was a very lackluster edition overall. There's a few things that were kind of hype spots. That's about it. So, yeah. It's kind of a wishy-washy day for Monday. This is Tuesday's video, so let's talk about last night's edition of Monday Night Raw. And the show started out with an announcement that the Authority were once again on vacation. And because they're on vacation, they're not going to be in attendance. So there's not going to be heels reign and running free without any consequence on this show. There's going to be something more to it than that. And it actually started out with Roman Reigns coming to the ring. He says he assesses and attacks. He's a wanted man, he realizes this, but he's got a hair trigger. When Roman is in the house, damn right Cena sucks. That's when the fans started chanting for John Cena and the fact that John Cena sucks. Chanting against John Cena in this situation. Both Randy Orton and the Authority are irrelevant. I will be the next WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Believe that. Here comes Kane. He comes out and he says, lately you've been Triple H's lapdog. He's like, oh, wait a minute, scratch that. How about I call you Randy Orton's bitch? And he comes down the ramp because them be fighting words. And they brawl on the ramp and around the ringside area. He gets tossed in the ring and Kane gets knocked off the apron. And he clotheslines Kane over the barricade into Justin Roberts' land. And they fight in the crowd and he dumps Reigns over and he posts Roman and he tosses him in. The referees run down like the Keystone Cops, and Kane choke slams John Cone, who is one of the WWE officials. And this prompts a really awesome list of road agents to come out, which in this case is Finlay and Jamie Noble, Joey Mercury, Mike Rotunda, and one of my favorites of all time, that is Dean Malenko. And they come to the ring to try to hold everyone off. Finlay and Noble are the ones in the ring, and Noble gets pie-faced by Roman Reigns, and Finlay gets speared out of his boots by Roman. So he hits a Superman punch on Kane, knocks him off the ring apron, and Mercury and Rotundo, as well as Mercury, Rotundo, and Malenko hold Kane back. So that's the end of the first segment. So interesting, and really setting up Kane's relevance in this feud, and the fact that he seems like he's just an add-on, a tag-along in the Battleground Fatal 4-Way, but he's actually proving there's a reason for him to be there. So, we get our first match of the evening. It is a long list of these matches obviously have already happened, and it's going to be yet another battle between the WWE Tag Team Champions Jimmy and Jey Uso taking on Luke Harper and Eric Rowan of the Wyatt family. Harper and Rowan coming out to their new music, and with the Wyatt interruption not coming out to Live in Fear or Broken Out in Love, depending on who's talking about the theme song in question. We pick it up midway through the match, and Rowan with the fist to the side of the temples and a neck twist. He punches his way out, does the Uso, tagging to Luke Harper. Harper whips Rowan in for the avalanche, and Uso's out of the way, and Harper goes for a running big boot, and he gets crotched up in the top rope. An elbow does miss, big elbow leaps up and finds nothing but canvas, and tagging to Jimmy Uso, goes to the top rope, flying body press on Luke Harper, clothesline, big right hand to Eric Rowan for good measure. Back kick caught Harper with Samoan drop, and Rikishi special does not connect because he charges in, ducks the clothesline, Whisper and then one does connect, and Eric Rowan makes the save. So Jey gets tossed out, and he goes back under the bottom rope, hits the SSD, and the super kick is caught, spun around, and a super kick from Luke Harper gets a 2 off of that. A tope is stopped with a big right hand and a super kick for a 2 count, and he goes up top. He gets crotched. Harper with a sit-out powerbomb only gets a 2 off of that. Uso makes the save. That's the reason he only got a 2. Low bridge, Harper goes over the top to the floor. Double super kick to Harper, and Rowan ends up tripping up Usos when they charge in. He trips up one of the Usos, pulling him to the floor, and the other one eats the lariat from Harper, and 1, 2, 3, Harper and Rowan win this match. It was a good way to start off the show. Good match, good hot match. Really think that the days of the Usos as WWE Tag Team Champions are numbered, but I don't think that they're going to be losing the championships until SummerSlam. I know I said they would lose them at Money in the Bank. I don't think they lose them at something as insignificant as Battleground, but I think that they will lose them at SummerSlam, which is basically the WrestleMania of the summer. So obviously this is one of the big 4 quote-unquote pay-per-views that WWE puts over. Obviously the other ones being Royal Rumble and Survivor Series, as well as the aforementioned WrestleMania. So basically we get a vignette in the back. There's a promo between Randy Orton, Kane, and Seth Rollins. They'll hate each other. That's pretty much just fact of the matter is. We get a matchup that apparently was set up on the app or Instagram. I kind of lose track sometimes. And it's Nikki Bella with one arm tied behind her back against Alicia Fox. And this match was basically just Stephanie making Nikki Bella pay for her insolence. And, of course, what Brie did before. So now Nikki has one arm tied behind her back. Foxy doesn't get her arms tied behind her back. She jumps Nikki Bella. This is completely pointless. Leads to absolutely nothing. There's no match to talk about. Nothing even worth discussing here. So, we get our next match. It is Rusev against Rob Van Dam. Interesting, because this is actually somebody that can actually match up pretty evenly with Rusev when it comes to martial arts. And he definitely knows a little bit about Muay Thai, does Rob Van Dam. So, this actually works pretty well. And in the middle of this match, there is the Superstars box-style cutout promo that says Zeb Coulter, on the behalf of Jack Swagger, is making a challenge for Swagger to face off against Rusev at Battleground. We're going to be interesting to see if that's going to be announced or not. I think it probably gets announced on SmackDown Friday night. So, there's a back elbow and a knee lift and a front face lock by Rusev. Van Dam punches his way out, drops his head down. Of course, he gets kicked in the chest for him. Scoop slam, and he's going for the fall away Samoan drop again. And Van Dam ends up back kicking him out of it. Rolls him up for a 2 count and a nice stiff kick. Shoves him off, charges in, gets the boot up, does Van Dam. Rusev goes to the well again, eats the boot once more, goes up top. Leaping sidekick from Rob Van Dam, and Rolling Thunder is stopped when Rusev puts on the brakes, nails the Muay Thai kick, locks on the accolade, and that's the end. So yeah, a little bit more of a competitive match for Rusev against Rob Van Dam. No involvement with Swagger, at least after the match was over. This was basically just to put over Rusev, and after the match was over, of course, as usual, the Russian flag drops. So it sounds to me like eventually there's going to come to a point that they're going to drop the American flag, or they're going to drop a defaced version of the Russian flag, but I don't know if that would be a good idea at this point or not, because some people that take things way too seriously may get involved, and then we have issues. Don't forget, when Sergeant Slaughter was an Iraqi sympathizer at WrestleMania 7, it didn't really get over very well, so yeah. We'll talk about that later. In our next match, it is a rematch from the match on SmackDown. It is the Viper Randy Orton taking on Dean Ambrose, and we pick it up midway through. Orton, of course, consistently working on the arm and the shoulder that he injured, and another comparison of Ambrose to the late, great Brian Pillman is the fact that he has an injured shoulder. So basically, in essence, this is the Barry Windham feud in Randy Orton right now, and he even does a superplex, so it makes perfect sense. So obviously, when Brian Pillman got his shoulder injured, and that happened at War Games in 91, when he got powerbombed awkwardly by Sid Vicious, who didn't realize you can't powerbomb someone when you're almost 7 feet tall in a steel cage that has a top on it. So yeah, that doesn't work out very well. And of course, the shoulder injury allowed for Pillman to work a nice little program with Barry Windham, who utilizes the right hand and the superplex as finishes at that point. And Orton, of course, has that Orton Crest superplex. So yeah, makes perfect sense. That's what this is. This is this generation's version of Brian Pillman and Barry Windham feud, if they want to roll with it for a long amount of time. But basically, we go midway through this match, and Orton's got an arm bar on, and Ambrose headbutts his way out, comes off the ropes, and Orton nails him with a standing dropkick, 1-2, and a kick out. He hangs back on the arm twice, and he locks on a modified Fujiwara armbar. He drives the arm into the canvas, makes a cover, gets a 1 out of that. Back to the armbar again, and Ambrose punches his way out. A knee in, and he drops the arm viciously, yanks it out of its socket, or tries to. Whip in, ducks his head, and Ambrose plants Orton with the DDT. They trade bunches when they get back to their feet. Ducks the clothesline, a flying forearm off the ropes, back elbow, whip in, reverse, and a high cross body into the pound away, kind of like what Dolph Ziggler does now. So boots in the corner, and a whip is countered, and he's going for the 3.0 backbreaker, and a double leg from Ambrose, and he locks on the figure 4 leg lock. Orton gets to the ropes at the nick of time and called for the break. He goes up top, leaps off, lands on his feet, and what it looked like to me, this was really bad miscommunication in this spot. So Orton is standing there, of course, about ready to get nailed, and he realizes he's going to get nailed, obviously. So Ambrose leaps off the top, and he doesn't even connect with anything. And this pretty much just stops the match dead. It just killed the entire flow of the match. Whatever they had going into this match, they lost it completely with that spot, and they had to bring the crowd back into it. And that's exactly what happens when Orton hits the dropkick, gets a 2 off of that. So he poses in the buckle for good measure, and he hits the St. Louis uppercut, and of course this knocks Ambrose back into the middle ropes, and he hits the jawbreaker lariat. He goes for the dirty deeds, Orton shoves him off, and Orton ends up getting low bridge over the top rope to the floor. He sends him hard into the barricade, he tosses his chairs in, about 6 of them, and then the chairs just disappear because Orton ends up coming in out of nowhere. And he runs away, but he stops and he rams him shoulder first into the ring post. He tosses him over into Justin Roberts' land, of course, as usual, and he goes for the snake bite off the barricade. It does connect. Orton rolls back in, Ambrose rolls in at 10. Snakebite is countered into a nice roll-up, 1-2, and a kick-out. RKO countered in a backslide, 1-2, and a kick-out. Boot in, goes for the jawbreaker lariat, but eats the RKO, 1-2-3. Great back-and-forth match between Randy Orton and Dean Ambrose. Right person went over, and it made perfect sense. I really like the chemistry between these two, and I think that this could definitely be a nice little feud if they want to do it somewhere down the line. Obviously, Ambrose has his hands full currently with Seth Rollins, and Randy Orton has his hands full with Randy Orton. So, if you believe anything that has been told right now, it's supposed to be Orton and Reigns at SummerSlam. So, obviously, they're going to build towards that. Renee Young's in the back with John Cena, and Roman Reigns shows up. They have a nice face-to-face. He wishes John Cena good luck, and Cena basically says he doesn't need luck. Holmes, and basically Roman Reigns takes offense to this and says, "You're going to need luck against me, Holmes." So yeah. We pick up our next match. It is Alberto Del Rio against Dolph Ziggler with Fandango on commentary, and some of the most funny commentary I've heard in a long time, not just because I'm a Fandango fan, it's because it worked for me. Good back and forth match between these two. Dolph gets victimized by the inverted superplex, gets a 2 off of that, does Del Rio goes for the GSK, Dolph ducks out of the way, goes for the exclamation point DDT, gets tossed off, goes for the cross arm breaker, gets countered back at the exclamation point DDT, 1-2, and a kick out. Goes for the zigzag, he swats him off, and a tilt world backbreaker, of course, is countered into a drop kick, 1-2, and a kick out from Del Rio. Del Rio stops momentum with the divorce court, and he goes for the step-up enzuigiri kick. He misses by a mile. The name dropper does connect, and Fandango gets up on the announce table and does something that's been done a lot lately. Stands on the table and distracts someone. He dances to the music, the Montreal crowd going nuts for it. GSK to Dolph does connect, 1, 2, 3, and Del Rio is now going on to meet Sheamus tonight on main event in a rematch from SmackDown for the United States Championship. So yeah. WWE Network, by the way, this week, if you go to the WWE.com website and you sign up with your email, you can get free access to the network. I don't need free access because I pay for it, so always that. Stardust blows glitter. If I was Alexa Bliss, I'd call gimmick infringement. Basically, there's some really interesting commentary here. Really a nice promo between the Rhodes brothers and basically trying to out-bizarre one another. Cody starts to talk out when he's Stardust. Obviously, he's talking to what he thinks is Goldust, but it's basically just Goldust's wig, and then Goldust shows up and basically says, "You're crazy." And they're trying to out-bizarre each other, so yeah, it was interesting. So Fandango is trying to console Layla, of course, is extremely jealous that Fandango may still have eyes for Summer Rae, and who shouldn't, because Summer Rae is gorgeous. I don't care what anybody says. But when it comes down to it, he's trying to console Layla, and he's trying to make sure he coddles her and tells her everything's going to be okay, and out of the corner of his eye, there's Summer Rae in a gorgeous dress, and she's just, like, giving him the look. So, yes, this is definitely leading towards a double turn. I don't see right now, I can't really call it a double turn because obviously Summer Rae has never been solidified as a babyface. More so in NXT than WWE, but I would say that Fandango and Summer Rae will end up together in the end. I think that's probably the right direction I would go with this. So, hopefully this leads to a push, because God knows he could use it right now. We're in Montreal. So Jerry the King Lawler comes out, and of course the last time we saw him in Montreal, he almost didn't leave alive. Obviously that was the site of his infamous heart attack, and thank God that they brought him back to life. And he actually returned on the very wrong Columbus that we were at, Ben and Will and myself were at. So it's nice to see Jerry Lawler back in Montreal, and of course he brings out his former rival, Bret the Hitman Hart. He says if he could have one more match, he could lace up the boots one last time, he'd do it in Montreal. Bret Hart's music hits again. Okay, once again, I'll stress this. Bret Hart's music never hits. The Bret Hart theme that you guys know and love, dead. Never be used again. The music that Natalya used, the music that the Hart Dynasty used, is the music that Bret Hart uses now. So yeah, Natty and Bret are sharing the same theme. So Natty's music hits again, and here comes... And I knew this was going to happen. I heard the music and I was like... The music comes and plays again. I was like, this is going to be Sandow. Damien Sandow comes out with a gray wig and a ponytail, wearing Bret Hart's old gear, and he calls himself Bret the Hitman Sandheart, which makes more sense. He'd be the Anvil and not the Hitman, because he's a Sandheart, not a heart. So he says... basically just browbeats Bret Hart and says, you know what, I tapped out to my idol, the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels in this building, and I was so embarrassed at that fact that I pretended it was an elaborate screw job, and I'm proud to be from a third world country like Canada, and I'm also sorry to say that I never was able to stand in the ring toe-to-toe with someone as great as Damien Sandow. And he basically says, well, I've never been really much for talking, obviously putting over the fact that Bret Hart sucks at working the mic. And Sandow gets punched by Bret, and Bret says, no, I'm better at punching. So here comes Sheamus down to the ring. And we get our next match set up after the commercial break. It is Sheamus against Damien Sandheart in this case. So a chin lock is applied by Sandow and a punch out from Sheamus. He comes off the ropes. He gets the knees up, kitchen sink style, and side Russian leg sweep connects. The Bret Hart elbow goes for the sharpshooter, and it gets countered by grabbing the beard of Sandow. And he gets caught with his foot, shoves him back, and he eats the overhead right on the ring apron. Clubbing blows 16 in succession, and eats the brogue kick 1, 2, 3, and Sheamus wins. I really hope, after all of this is said and done, all this comedy is out of the way with Sandow, they actually consider really pushing him. So there's two things that can come out of this. Number one, Sandow's going to get a push eventually, or number two, they're going to give him another sort of push. They're going to push him towards Dixie Carter or Jeff Jarrett, one of the two. Either one of the above could possibly happen, because if this leads to a renewed push for Damien Sandow and a more serious Damien Sandow, I have zero problems with it at all, because I love Damien Sandow. But if this leads to absolutely nothing and Sandow gets released before the year is over, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised, but it would be a total waste. Obviously, Sandow could have cashed in his Money in the Bank and won, but John Cena beat him, so he's the second person, other than Cena, not to successfully cash in Money in the Bank. It remains to be seen if Seth Rollins is going to be the third, but what I'm guessing right now is if they want to drag this all the way out to WrestleMania 31, that once Roman Reigns beats Brock Lesnar, Rollins cashes in on a prone Roman Reigns and he starts his run. But I don't know if they're going to take it that long. We may take it to Survivor Series, may take it to the Royal Rumble, but I have no way of knowing at this point. So Renee is in the back with The Miz, and he has a fan letter from little Johnny Russo. Basically says The Miz needs to win, and he said to basically beat Chris Jericho for trying to mess up the Moneymaker, and Jericho basically is going to have to get ready for his close-up from The Miz's fist. So that's our next match. It is Y2J Chris Jericho against The Miz. I love The Miz's new entrance. The very Hollywood, The Rock style entrance. He is The Miz, after all. He's not just Miz, he's The Miz. Gee, I wonder why. So, yeah, I like the new attitude of The Miz, and I think it works really well. Stop using the figure 4, seriously. Use the skull-crushing finale or come up with a new finish. Do not use the figure 4. They've already transitioned the Flair seal of approval to the Shield. I know the Shield does not exist anymore, but Ambrose is using the figure 4, so obviously keep letting him use it. And keep The Miz and Flair away from each other. Miz should not be using the figure 4, and this is coming from a Miz guy. So he picked this match up midway through. Jericho ends up telegraphing the dropkick and getting his dropkick telegraphed. Sorry, there you go. And Miz locks on the figure 4. Like I said, shouldn't be used. He gets to the ropes and he punches him in the face, double legs him, goes for the walls of Jericho, and Miz just taps immediately. Excuse me. That's the end right there. So Bray Wyatt, of course, shows up in his rocking chair. We have a sea, not Bruno Mars, not a sea of lighters, a sea of cell phones, as we see Bray Wyatt's rocking in the rocking chair, and he says he's waiting for Jericho to save us all. That's what everybody's waiting for, is Jericho to save us all, but he can't even save himself. He says apparently they used to be Jerichoholics back in the day, but now they sing a much different tune. And of course Jericho says for Bray Wyatt to please shut the hell up. He said, "Quiet, Wyatt." And that's really close to "Damn it, Janet." So yeah, I don't think he loves Bray Wyatt. So actions, of course, do speak louder than words, is what Bray said earlier on his promo. And Jericho goes after Bray. Of course, we get another Wyatt interruption. Harper and Rowan are on the opposite sides of Bray when the lights come back on. I really like this a lot. I don't know what they're going to do with The Miz at all, but I like the Rick Martel gimmick, the model Rick Martel gimmick that they're doing with The Miz. They're basically doing the whole steez where you can't punch him in the face. I think it works really well. I think it could play off really well. It's too bad we don't have a valet in WWE that is like the late great Sensational Sherry, so they can play that up. But I really like the way that we're going with this. The Miz is definitely from Hollywood. He's doing the Andy Kaufman, I'm from Hollywood gimmick. He's a movie star. So he's an A-lister. I mean, I like this gimmick a lot, and I think it plays really well to Mike Mizanin's personality, at least what a lot of people perceive his personality to be. So yes, hopefully something good will come out of this. Jericho and Bray Wyatt are going to have an amazing feud, and I'm looking forward to that. I think Jericho ends up facing... I say Jericho's going to start running the Wyatt Gauntlet in the next couple of weeks. And I think that we get another Jericho-Miz match at Battleground, and we get Jericho and Bray Wyatt at SummerSlam. That's what I think will happen. Or we could just blow off the Miz feud completely and then do Jericho and Bray Wyatt at Battleground, and then have Jericho and Bray Wyatt blow off at SummerSlam. I don't know if it goes to Hell in a Cell or Night of Champions or not. Who knows? It depends. It might just be something for the summer. Because apparently what it sounds like is Night of Champions is going to be Jericho's last night with the company, at least for this current run. Our next match is the Funkadactyls against the unorthodox team of Paige and the Divas champion AJ Lee. Of course, there's a lot of hero worship in this match, basically. And Cameron just not wanting to tag in, not wanting to do anything, not even wanting to help Naomi out. When she finally does get tagged in, she eats the Paige Turner, and that's the end of the match. So, of course, Naomi and Cameron have a shoving match. They end up getting into a cat fight, and this is finally the split of the Funkadactyls we've been waiting for a long time. So once Naomi vanquishes Cameron, I think what we do is we do this kind of like the Primetime Players feud went. How Darren Young got the win over Titus, and we thought Titus was going to be the one that got pushed. Well, Darren Young will get the win over Titus, just like I think Cameron's going to get the win over Naomi, and they're going to build Cameron up as credible. I don't know how they're going to pull that off, because it's not believable. But Naomi will end up eventually winning the feud, moving on to bigger and better things. Paige and AJ, it's basically like the hero worship, kind of like what they did with Trish Stratus and Mickie James. So I think that's probably going to be the case. And Paige is definitely, they're both baby faces right now, but look for that to change soon. And there is a lot of talk about there being a babyface run for AJ in the near future, and I think this is going to start it up. So yeah, pun not intended. So we get our next match. It is Cesaro and Kofi Kingston, and really nice gorilla press into a gut buster. It looked awesome. The double stomp got a 2, working on the injured ribs of Kofi Kingston, courtesy of the tremendous beatdown that Kofi got from Cesaro last week on Raw. The Sunset Stack Up does beat Cesaro yet again, so Kofi wins, and after the match, he tries to dismantle Kofi. Big E makes a save. It's the Vader attack. Sends Cesaro scurrying up the ramp with Paul Heyman. So yeah, we're leading towards Cesaro fighting with Kofi and Big E. You really wish Chris Hero didn't get fired at this point, because that'd be a really great idea to do Kings of Wrestling against Kofi and Big E. But obviously we're not going to go that direction. Is Cesaro going to get an ally here? I don't think so. So who knows where we're going to go with this. Maybe Cesaro's going to feud with both of them. I think it's a bad idea at this point. Really need to start building Cesaro and feuds against people that are going nowhere right now, and Kofi Kingston and Big E, whether they're over or not, they're going nowhere storyline-wise. So I don't really think that it's a good idea at this point. I think they should be building Cesaro. And I think they will be building Cesaro eventually, because they have a lot of faith in him. And apparently by the year's end, he's supposed to be the number 3 babyface in the company. At least that's what they want. He's a long way from that right now. So it'll be interesting to see what we get the progression from what happens from Battleground or SummerSlam or Night of Champions or Hell in a Cell or all the way to TLC. What's going to happen with Cesaro in the Rumble. If it was me, I'd have Cesaro win the Royal Rumble, but that's just my prediction. Probably won't happen. Obviously, we saw Bo Dallas destroy Diego in the video I talked about last night, actually. And now he's going to be facing off against El Torito. This match goes short, and Torito, pun not intended, he hits the tope, and a forearm by Bo Dallas stops the momentum at this point. The Bo Dog does connect 1, 2, 3, and after the match is over, he does a victory lap, and for good measure, he knocks Torito on his face. So yeah, that's the end of that. So Bo Dallas wins yet again, and proving that even though he is a motivational speaker, he's still a down and dirty heel when it's all said and done. And I love this gimmick a lot, so works completely for me. You get our main event next. It is John Cena against Seth Rollins, and I figured that this match would not go very long. It didn't really. We pick it up midway through after the commercial break. The charging splash does miss, and Rollins plants Cena with the Skywalker, gets a 2 off of that. And a side slam by Cena on Seth Rollins. The AA is countered into a DDT from Rollins, gets a 2 off of that. Boudin is caught and misses the enziguri kick, and Cena picks him up and a deadlift pickup into a sit-out powerbomb, 1-2 and a kick-out. Goes up top, and Cena is stopped by the leaping kick from Seth Rollins, knocking Cena off the top, and he makes a cover, 1-2 and a kick-out. Comes off the ropes. He misses, and he ducks the clothesline, shoulder block, ducks the right hand, proto bomb, 5-knuckle shuffle, goes for the AA. Rollins somewhat lands on his feet, and Cena counters with a drop toe hold, STF, breaks the hold, drags in the middle of the ring, going for the STF, and Kane comes out in the middle of this. He's got him distracted. Randy Orton attacks him behind. Of course, there's a DQ there. They double team. Roman Reigns comes out, not from the crowd, but from the entranceway. And a Superman punch to Kane, then one to Randy Orton. Orton nails a case shot to the back of the neck of Reigns, sending him down. And he nails Cena with the briefcase. He calls for Charles Robinson. He runs out, and he's going to cash in. Of course, this is not going to meet anything but problems, because here comes Dean Ambrose out of nowhere, and he attacks. And this allows for him to toss him into the ring, clotheslines him over the top rope to the floor. They brawl all the way to the back. Orton goes to dismantle Cena. Who knows what his intentions were at this point, but basically he eats the AA, and Cena is goozling Cena, and Roman Reigns spears him out of nowhere, and Roman and Cena raise each other's arms, and that's the end of the show. So mutual respect from the two baby faces to end. Kind of all over the place. What would I recommend on this show? Harper and Rowan against the Usos. We've seen it a billion times, but yeah, I definitely would recommend it. I would say that Orton and Ambrose was really good. I think this could be a good Pillman-Wyndham feud if you want to go back to WCW history. Rusev and Van Dam, I think if it got more time, I think it would have been a lot better, but it was a really good match overall. Good back-and-forth match, actually. Something we don't see from Rusev very often, unless we're on pay-per-view. Del Rio and Ziggler could have went a little bit longer, but it was okay. We've seen these two work several times. They're all decent matches. I would say that the Jericho and Miz match it was okay for what it was. Everything else was really short, all the way up to the main event, and the main event was worth watching because John Cena and Seth Rollins. What do you say there? So yeah, that was Raw, and we look forward to NXT and SmackDown on Monday. And wrestling fans, join me tomorrow. We'll talk TNA Impact from last week, and we'll pick that up. And of course, we're going to be going to New York for TNA soon, and some really wacky things that happen on those tapings, so we're going to be talking about that soon. Of course, videos coming in the near future. Sounds to me like we're going to be getting an announcement of a maze coming out of Hollywood, and who knows, maybe something from Orlando as well. Halloween Horror Nights news, as soon as it drops, I will make sure that that video comes out soon. And of course, as always, for the rest of the week on Pop, we have Friday, AJ's movie reviews, talking about Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and we're going to be talking about Ida and America, and a lot of things that are going to be coming out as well. We're going to have 6 videos, and Locke is going to be on that video as well, so we're looking forward to that. Ashley's Popcaster from Across the Pond video game segment coming this Saturday, and of course Sunday will bring us yet another edition of Versus Gangster Style this week. So that's going to be your video for the day. So those of you that are able to be at Diagon Alley today, enjoy yourself, and I will live vicariously through your Facebook and your Twitter posts, and I will see you guys in September. So as always, if you like these videos, tell your friends about them, leave a comment, do subscribe, help spread the word about Pop. If you haven't yet, go to Facebook right now and like our Facebook fan page. It is Sir Owen Disney Pop on Facebook. And also, if you'd like to go old school on Facebook, send me a friend request. It's Owen Disney. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, it's at Sir Owen Disney. Last but certainly not least, you want to send your thoughts, comments, queries, and opinions. You want to talk wrestling with me, Disney, Universal, Halloween Horror Nights. You want to talk Diagon Alley with me. Want to ask me questions that I never answer on here in a million years for a good reason. Or if you'd like to become a Popcaster yourself, you can send your contributions to this channel as well as your videos, or if you have any ideas for verses or anything you'd like to see on this channel, send me an email, sirowendisney@gmail.com. In the meantime, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching, and until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I got to say about that.